Hi, Heathens.
Happy New Year!
Happy season two, baby.
Yay!
Can you tell we're so excited to be back?
Oh my God, I was lost. What was I going to do with my Thursdays?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Laziness took over and I wasn't too mad about it. I feel like I needed a little
hmm
lazy reset and I'm ready to be back.
Yeah, it was a good little a recharging moment this beginning of this year, which was really nice. I felt like I could I don't know, insert new habits that I really want to do for this year.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
cooking food more and going out less, um exercising. Um, I don't know, just stuff like that.
Dude, I read so much. I read so much. I was consuming books like a mad woman. One of my clients
Yeah.
who's a professor and teaches literature was like, I don't think I've met anybody who reads as many books as you do. And I was like, oh no, I have clients who read way more than I do.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm also on a break and I don't have to think about too much right now. So I'm like, your girl is
consuming.
consuming
No.
consumption.
The book I just started reading was Financial Sorcery by Jason Miller.
I also
Um,
want to start.
it's really good because I would never, yes, Financial Sorcery. I would never read because I'm really finding out that this is a huge shadow for me. And I would rather not, as much as I promote having a relationship with money, I am not actually doing that. So I'm like putting it like, yeah, it'll just manage itself.
Right. Yeah. No, no, it's like it's fine. I don't need to
It-
actually put
It's
anything
fine.
into that. If I just say it, it'll happen.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, no. I want to make more money so I don't have to deal with it. But that's not, so that's like getting a relationship. Like, I want you as my girlfriend, but I don't want to deal with you.
Well, I like the first part, but not the second part.
Right. So that's what money feels like.
Sorry, I was listening, but also I realized that the other day when you told me about this book, I did not put it on my Audible. So I just used because I have Audible points now that I get to use because I've been
Oh.
consuming. So I
Ooh.
just put it in my library so that I can start it because your girl really wants to start that book.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's importante.
Absolutely. What are we talking about this day, Kathy?
Okay, first episode back really quick. I think we went over this a little bit at the end of this last season, but New Year, we've been off for a little bit, and I know you guys have been missing us too, because I have heard quite a bit that you guys have been missing the podcast, but some of y'all were catching up.
Pitchforks and torches. Is that what we're
Yes.
doing?
Some of y'all were catching up though with our last season, so we're getting rolling. So, um, once again, just to break down the year a little bit, Nicole and I decided that we're going to finish doing our self journey work because we still have a few topics that we need to get through to then move on to some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start with that. Then we're going to move into some more fun stuff that Nicole and I are really excited to talk about, like angels, demons, different creatures in the magical world, the elements, the
Mm-hmm.
planets, the houses, so some more astrological stuff. And we're gonna also do some more spooky stuff because Nicole and I are spooky bitches and we love that shit, okay?
Do love the
So,
spooky bitches. Yeah.
yes. So the first one that we're gonna talk about this season to kind of get a more end to our self work for now, I should say, is validation. And that is what
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about today, baby, is validation. Um, in researching this, I found something that I really want to say because I was talking to Nicole about it earlier, and I feel like I'm excited to talk about this subject because I feel that validation, which by the way, I might say valuation a few times because that's what I've been doing, but I think that validation, in my opinion, has become a word that we feel shame and guilt around using. And I just don't think there has to be so much shame behind wanting or needing validation if you're coming from the right place, which we'll break down later. But I personally just think I don't believe that validation is bad or good. I think that's something that we put onto it. I don't think it's necessarily a bad or a good thing. I just think that validation simply is.
No, and I think that's perfect example because like you can use it. It's like a hammer. You can use it to build a house and you
God, you're so
can
good.
use it to like bash somebody's head in, right? So like
You're
you
so
can
good at
use
that.
it, you can use it both ways, right?
Yeah, that's the best metaphor for validation. Really, really great because, like, you're
Hmm.
right. I mean, to validate is to confirm or to assure the certainty of something. It verifies that something is true and it acknowledges what it is. It's not this thing where it's like, well, you're just seeking validation and that's a bad thing, or we feel bad for seeking validation when, you know, it's important for growth. I personally, I think validation is extremely important for growth. And the reason I say this is also because of my personal experience, specifically with my lovely co-host here, because without her and the validation that I've needed in my spiritual growth and my emotional growth, I don't think I'd be where I'm at because that was a huge key to my growth personally. And I
Hmm.
think it's really important for everyone's growth, especially when it comes to the metaphysical, especially there.
Well, and like the whole thing is about when we're changing our patterns and we're changing, like if we watched our parents go through it and we're like, okay, that's the path I'm supposed to lead, right? Well, that's easy because it's already been mapped out, right? It's
Yeah.
really easy. It's really validating already because the line has been worn in the sand and you can see every twist and turn and blah blah blah, right? You even know because your parents have went before you.
Yes.
Well, what I'm finding when I'm doing this is that I am doing new patterns. I don't know what's going to happen when I go down this road because I haven't been there before, nor have I had anybody that in my uh because I know people have done it, like it's you don't have anybody that it was in your life to help you do these other patterns, right? They don't
Yes. You don't
they
have
only
anybody
have
in
the
your
one.
circle.
Yeah, in close to you, right? Like cuz
Yes.
obviously people have done it and that's why you have mentors and that's why mentors are so important is because when you're stuck on this like I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm doing. Is the ice safe? Can I walk out on it? Am I looking at right? Am I seeing this right? And some of it
Yes.
is okay to fall down. It is okay to make your own validation, but some of it is really good to actually have that person to be like, no, no, you're fine. You're doing great. That's exactly what this looks like.
Yeah, because what validation in that respect offers is neutrality and spiritual perspective. Because I cannot tell you how many, not to use your story as my own, but we've talked about this before, and I want to remind you guys of this because this is so huge when I think about validation is that when Nicole and I first started this path together, yeah, she had dabbled in a little few things here and there, right? But she's not fully given to it. And I had not dabbled because I came from a well, in my own respect, a toxic past. So
Right.
this was new for both of us. And when we were going down this path, Nicole specifically did not know how empathetic she was in the vast, vast reaches of what that means, even because she's still
Mhm.
realizing how freaking deep this can go. It's not
Mhm.
just empathetic and empathy and being what's the word I want? An empath, like in the means of I just feel feelings. It gets deeper and more advanced than that. But when she was first starting out in this, I cannot tell you guys how crazy it is to watch it's gonna make me cry a little bit because my best fucking friend, this woman right here, went through so
Mhm.
much in the beginning of this and was before even knowing me. And it was it's been incredible to watch because she needed that validation and nobody would give it to her. And it was
Mm-hmm.
until she got the emotional awareness and the steadiness and the sturdiness that she has within her now to be able to see this. And then actually people giving the validation, because I had to do that with myself, because I had to look at myself and the feelings I was having that I didn't even know I was having. So I wasn't biting her head off because she was feeling it
Mm-hmm.
and trying to check in with me. We've talked about that before, but that validation of like, yes, what you're feeling is what I'm feeling. Yeah, I'm nervous
Mm-hmm.
about this. Yes, I'm mad about this. You are absolutely feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
Stop making her question herself. It stopped making her be like, I'm fucking crazy.
Yeah, there was a lot of that because, especially with that kind of stuff and what I can feel and what I can see is the stuff that people are hiding.
Yeah, it's like those triggers we are safeguarding. We're like, don't fucking touch this. If you touch this, I will bite.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, like, when it comes to validation, there are some forms that we absolutely need, not only for our metaphysical wellness, our spiritual wellness, but for our emotional wellness too. Because your
Hmm.
clairvoyancy, any of the clairs that you have, it's extremely enhanced by our ability to validate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Isn't it the medium, the New Jersey medium, or what is that lady's name? Anyway, she always says thank you for the validation when she's reading somebody and they
Yes,
say something. She's always like, thank you for
Teresa.
validation. Yes, yes. She's always thanking spirit and the client for the validation that she gets, right? And I think
Right.
that's a very cool little thing to like, even as she's working through her gift and she's clearly doesn't need the validation, but there it is, right? Like there it is, and she thanks it, and like they move on because they get it, right? They both can
Yeah,
agree on that he feels this way and she feels this way, and they both agree on that. There's the validation right there, which is really helpful when you're going through these places that don't have borders or boundaries and everything's kind of mixed in together. You need the
absolutely.
validation. Yeah.
And the other thing that is the caveat with this that goes along with this that I fight all the time, and I know you do too, because this shit gets right under my skin. There's not a lot of things that immediately piss me off, except for when I have somebody who is stuck because they are not allowing themselves to acknowledge something or be validated. And when I'm telling you, no, you're right, what you're feeling is right, that's actually this. And you're telling me, I don't know, that's just, I don't know if I believe in that or blah, blah, blah. And I'm just going to stay stuck here. It bothers me because you are getting
Hmm.
explicit validation that you're not allowing yourself to accept. And that's where we get
Right.
stuck is because I don't need validation. I don't even know if this is happening, blah, blah, blah. And that's what starts to cause other problems and feelings.
Well, and that just means to me that you want this. It's serving you a purpose. No matter if you say, like people are always come back at you with that statement, they always come back at you with, why would I want that? Why would I want a car accident? That doesn't make any sense. That's just crazy. And it's like, yeah, but if you look at it this way, and this is proven behavior, like especially with people that get sick constantly, or that whole thing where they make their child sick so they get the appraise and the attention from what they need. Like you're getting something from this or it's playing out a self-fulfilling prophecy even.
Oh, God, yeah. We talked about this last season. You gave the
Hmm.
best example. If you're terrified that you're going to get in a plane crash, and then you see a plane crash on the TV, it's like that's validating your fear. You're asking for
Hmm.
that validation, but then you're mad about getting the validation.
Yeah, yeah. Like when perfect example is when we were looking up shark diving when we're going down to Florida, right? So we were looking at shark diving and then we immediately looked up cages and sharks. And what we saw, because the fear is the shark getting into the cage, obviously, right?
Right.
Or the other one is the cage dropping down to the bottom of the ocean. That's a whole nother one.
Horror
But
film.
right, seen both of them, by the way. um,
Unfortunately, me too.
Sharks are terrifying, and I
Yes,
love them
but
so
beautiful.
much. I
Yes.
love them. Oh. But yeah, those are the things. It's like, oh, okay, so like you immediately attract what you're feeling, all of it, right?
Hmm. I mean, when you validate a personal talent, it allows you to use the ability to its fullest, regardless of if that's good or bad. Okay, we're not talking good or bad in this. Validation's not bad and it's not good. It's
Mm-hmm.
just when it comes to validation, it's the human need to seek validation. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not a bad thing. We know what that means? It means it's fucking normal. Okay?
Right,
It's
right.
so normal. And like, we're using validation in these ways to like we're using it as an advantage to ourselves. Kind of like other
Mm-hmm.
words, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when something happens and you get validated on it and you're mad about it, that's probably something to look at. Or
Mm-hmm.
if something happens and you think that's what's going on, like say your intuition's screaming at you that this person's really upset about this thing, right? And you're feeling it, and somebody tells you, yeah, they are. They are mad about that. They just told me that. And you're like, I don't know. Maybe they're just mad at me. And like, maybe blah, 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 blah. Whatever the excuse is to
The
not have to look
overthinking,
at
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not actually recognize that, holy shit, like I am aware of that. I do have this in me. I do have this intuition, all these things. You're basically killing what validation can cause, which is the feeling of acceptedness and being understood. You can feel accepted and understood.
Yeah, with what you're saying basically is validation, if we're stepping up steps, right? Validation, like if I build the step there and I'm not sure it's sturdy yet, the validation is me standing on it and it not falling.
Yes.
So I can, like, if I'm nervous and I need to look at you and I'm like, is the step okay? Can I step on it? And you go, yes. And I go, okay. So I step on the step and then I build another one. We're working our way through validation. We are children at best at through this kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
This is automatically what we do with our children is validate them, right? Like Trinity would throw up on me and immediately she'd be like, "Did you do this? Did you do this to your mom?" Like she immediately needed these validations. Like, did you do this? Like, I remember her even from a very young age, that's what she would do. And now I feel like we get into this point where she doesn't need to ask for those validations anymore, right? Because we've given those validations to her, whether I have or hadn't, or you need to talk to this person instead of me because I haven't had that experience. So I can't necessarily validate it. So please talk to this person and they can tell you their experience and their validation and validate it for you through there.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the way I feel about magic, even like when even though I've been in it for 3 years now, and practicing every day, and it consumes my life in the most wonderful way. Uh, I still need that mentor because I need validation. I need somebody because, like, A, it's unseen. B, I've been programmed that demons are bad and I'm going to summon something awful and my whole life and my house is going to blow up, right? Big fire. And then you're like, oh, it's not like that. It's not like the horror movies I've watched all this time. No, it's not like that. Oh, but it could be like that, but that's fine too. Like, okay, now I get it. Like somewhat. But like as we're going through this, you need those people to be like, "Hey, is this is this your experience?" Because you need a good mentor too, because you don't need them to be like so much putting like this is exactly the way it is, blah 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 blah. You need somebody that's will let you explore and expand, but like if you get in trouble, they still are that safety rope kind of thing.
Yeah, because I agree. I feel like there's validation is a spectrum, is what I want to put out there. Okay.
Yeah.
There is self validation, there's external validation, there's what I would consider healthy and unhealthy. Okay. There is a difference between being a teacher that has been with somebody or a mentor that's been with somebody for a long time and them asking you a question that you know they know the answer to and saying, you know the answer. Stop. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they're still questioning themselves instead of validating themselves.
Mm-hmm.
right? And then there's a difference when it's your that same teacher and that same student and they're doing something new that they're like, I don't know if this is what's supposed to be happening and I feel lost. Can you just tell me if I'm on the right path or not? Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
are. Okay, great. There's
That's all I
like,
need.
that's all
Right.
you need. So there are some different kinds of like validation again, because it's on a spectrum. And like one of those is like getting validated at every single turn, what Nicole would like to call baby birding.
Yeah.
That's not, it's not healthy. And that's when we
Mm-mm.
have to start looking at ways to self-validate.
Well, yeah, baby birding is like you not questioning anything. Like you're just I'm taking everything you say as um truth.
Yep,
The most truth.
absolutely. And it's like, there has to be a healthy balance, in my opinion, Libra, of validation. There has to be a healthy balance because we also have to be able to self-validate for confidence, one, and two,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
having external, validation is never going to lead us in the way, or having consistent. I mean, to the point that every turn you make, you turn around and you look, did I
Is
do
that
that right?
okay?
Is that
Right.
okay?
Is
Did
that
I make the
okay?
right turn? Every
Is
single
that
time.
are you
It,
mad at me?
yeah, it won't lead to self-confidence. It won't lead to
Mm-mm.
self-assuredness. You won't be gaining more knowledge because you're not doing what needs to be done to move to the next level, to get to the next thing, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, mentally, or spiritually.
Right, right. This what we need to do with validation is use it as training wheels until we don't need them anymore. That's what it's there for.
Hmm.
Like if you're walking on a new path or you're trying like even going back to school and learning something new. These are the places where you get the validation, but eventually you get out of school, you graduate, you work in that field, you don't need validation anymore because you
Right.
know your shit, right?
Yep.
That's how if you're staying in it though, that's where it's toxic. That's where it gets like you won't ever be able to do anything without either asking or checking in with somebody for your whole entire life.
Right. Because that's when we started doubting our own abilities, when we were being
Mm-hmm.
explicitly being told we're doing well.
Mm-hmm.
You've created no self-assurance, no self-confidence to the point that even if you're being told you're doing well, you don't think you're doing well
No,
at
because
anything.
that's when your worth is outside of you and not inside of you. It's
Yeah.
outside. All your worth is out here when it needs to be in here.
Which leads us into self-validation because you need to be able to self-assure yourself. You need to be, it's self-assurance.
Right.
Self-validation is self-assurance, in my
Right.
opinion. And there's healthy external validation that can be an addition to self-validation, but we need self-evaluation. I just want to say that so bad. So
I'm like,
I just want to talk about what that can look like. That can be self-validation, can be encouraging yourself, acknowledging your strengths, your
hmm
successes, your efforts, noticing and accepting your feelings is self-validation.
hmm
Prioritizing your needs, saying nice things to yourself, accepting limitation, flaws, and mistakes. And it's a skill like we talked about all season one, all of season one.
Yeah.
We talked about
hmm
these are skills that we have to practice. And we've talked about where to begin. And so with
hmm
this, so I saw somebody suggest this, and I thought this was really an easy way to start, is just by saying at least one self-validating thing per day. So that can look like I feel angry. I need alone time. My feelings are valid. I'm normal to feel this way. I'm proud of myself. It's okay for me to cry right now. I'm making progress. I like blank about myself. Things like that are going to start the process of feeling more self-validated.
hmm
And I think that's a really easy place to start.
That's a really good one. I think that's a really good building block that you can really like, or like I said, get a mentor. If you're going through the spiritual transformation, get either a therapist or a spiritual mentor or something like that. Just somebody that has been in it that you can trust. So when the illusion around you is so thick and you can't see your way out of it, they can validate the fact that you are on the right path. And that's exactly how this is supposed to feel. And that's really
Absolutely.
helpful. When you're underwater and you can't breathe, like, you need that validation. You need somebody to go, no, trust me, keep going, keep on going. You will find the air at the end of the tunnel, kind of thing.
Heck yeah.
Um, there's other thing. Oh, so before it slips away. Um, Also, I will tell you that I think I've just experienced this just recently, is I feel like my validation of myself has gotten better and stronger because, and this was my clue, is that when somebody said something that was kind of either off-putting or it was supposed to be triggering, I sat firmly in myself and knew that what they were saying wasn't about me. I didn't take it personally. I knew it was their experience and not mine. And I also knew that I didn't have enough education or um knowledge to have a educational debate on it. So what I ended up doing is just calmly surrendering to it and saying, okay. And I was okay with that. I was fully okay with surrendering to something that was triggering and that was in that like realm of like, no, I'm not. And I
Yeah.
didn't have to. I didn't have to defend myself. I didn't have to, do that whole thing. I could just calmly sit there and go, okay.
Which is so cool to be able to see when you look back on it and you're like, damn, like progress, dude. I'm making progress. Like, go me.
Yeah, like it's so nice. Like not that like I know this is a lifetime journey. I'm never going to stop doing magic. I'm never going to have to stop like, I picked up swimming just now. Like I know it's a lifetime journey. It's not something I'm going to do and then graduate from and whatever, right? Like this is what I'm going to carry with me and this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. Um so it's so cool to see like where I came from, where I am now, where and then where I'm going as well.
Absolutely. Well, and like when you were talking about getting a mentor, that leads us right back into like external validation, which was where I would go next too, is that when it comes to external validation, I do believe there's a healthy amount that's needed for mental well-beingness. Well-being,
Absolutely.
well-beingness.
Well, well, Venus.
Well-beingness. Well, well-beingness.
I'll drink to
Well-being.
that.
So while internal validation is the ability to honor, acknowledge your positive attributes, strengths, and emotions, right? External validation is the acknowledgement of your strengths, emotions, and intuition from others. And so we might seek too much validation as an adult, though, because this is like the flip side of this, right? Where it's like, again, the
Hmm.
spectrum, not good, not bad, just spectrum. The hammer. The hammer has many uses, and we're talking about one of these.
Right.
We might seek too much validation as an adult if we received too little or too much external validation in childhood.
Yes.
Everything goes back to being a child, man. There's actually studies out right now that psychologists have done, which I find super interesting, that is also validating in the spiritual world when we're talking about shadow work and this kind of thing, that suggests that emotional validation from mothers, especially in childhood, builds emotional awareness.
Hmm.
Your moms teach you a lot about your emotional awareness through validation. Like, even just you talking about Trinity, you're giving her the validation she needs to trust herself to know that, like, this is normal. I don't have to
Hmm.
feel bad about the things that happen to me that I can't control, like
Hmm.
puking on my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's normal. You didn't need to be embarrassed about that. Like, but
Right.
how would
Like
she
that's
know that if you didn't validate
right.
that? Yeah, you're good. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
big, we don't gotta make this a big deal.
Well, and she's asking like, should I feel bad about this or should I not feel bad about this? And, like as a 3-year-old, like, you're like, oh no, honey, this is okay. Like it happened. It wasn't, you didn't maliciously do, even if you did, it's still just puke, but like, you didn't maliciously do this. You were sick and it happened. And guess what? We both get to take showers now. Like
Yep.
amazing, right?
Yep.
It's with with her, I knew intuitively that I needed to give her everything that I didn't have. So if I'm breaking generational curses, then it stops at me and then I give her something different, which is also another thing that was really scary about raising kids, not that I didn't take anything away from my parents, but just like taking the things that were really good about my parents and leaving the rest and then giving that to her, right? And
Hmm.
that other stuff, again, we're going to use the like tree metaphors, like we're cutting off all those bad branches so our tree can actually evolve and get bigger and be healthy as we go down the line of our ancestries and stuff, right? Like this is the big thing that we were talking about, how we bring down generational hurts and wounds, emotional wounds. Um, we have to have somebody there that realizes that, or that somebody has been at least incarnated to filter it out. Like, I'm not going to get everything. And I
No.
always say to people, I go, look, with kids, you're going to fuck them up anyway. So you might as well just do the best you can with what you got. Right.
Yep.
So we can just like, so I don't have to sit there and go, oh my God, I'm going to fuck her up and worry about that every single second of every single day. Cause you know what that happens is that you're going to manifest it. So if you at least know that, we can put that on the shelf and go, okay, it's there, but move forward from it.
I'm gonna get on my soapbox for 1 second, and then I'm gonna get back off because I have more to say about this subject that we're talking about. But my soapbox is I am a new stepmom. Okay.
Mhm,
I've never
mhm,
raised kids as an adult ever. And I now have a 7-year-old in my life pretty consistently. If you are questioning how to help them or you don't know how to handle a situation, look it up. Do your fucking research. Stop being lazy because I am so sick and tired of us not, and it's so if this hits you, I'm sorry, but you need to look at it if it hits you because here's my thing that I'm witnessing that's really hard for me as somebody who likes to research. I'm going to do everything in my fucking power to help this child. Okay? There's no, I don't know what to do. There's no, I don't know what to do. I have
mm-mm,
a fucking community around me. I have a village that I can rely on. I also have the Ethernet, and there's a lot
mhm,
out there. And specifically, why I'm saying this too is because I was realizing that with my future stepdaughter, she really, really seeks external validation. She does things to get externally validated. And I started noticing it to the point where I was like, she has very little self-confidence,
mhm,
very unsure of herself. So I
mhm,
started doing research on how I could help that. I started
mhm,
looking up like validation in children, looking at how step parents can help with validation in children. Like, what can I do? And I started realizing that her looking at me after everything, she's been programmed to look for validation from the adults in her life instead of trusting herself to do something. She
mhm.
can't go and get something on her own without the validation that she can do it. And so I
Right.
found this article, which this is a hot, hot topic, but it helped a lot on gentle parenting, on validation in children, and how to curve that validation from others to then have
Mhm,
internal validation, which was really cool because it's like it's starting to help her in ways where she can just do things. She's not so scared that she's going to fail at it and then get yelled at or get in trouble or whatever the case may be. She's starting to like even like getting her own thing to drink. She could do it.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
she's really good at it. She
Yeah.
puts everything away. She does it exactly like an adult would. And I'm like, as it's just as simple of you can do this. I believe in you.
Yes.
It's just something so simple that we had to curve, like that my partner and I talked about because we had to curve this because I was like, dude, instead of being like, I'm so proud of you, it was the simple change of, how do you feel you did? I think you did great. Do you
Yeah.
feel good about how you did? Starting to get her more emotionally aware of herself so that she can actually have that confidence of like, fuck yeah, I did that. Fuck yeah, I did that for
Hmm.
myself. And if it's something as simple as I got my own glass of milk, well, hell yeah, dude, you did it.
Well, that's where it starts.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. I mean, like with Trinity, when she was younger, it was about her choosing her clothing. And I wanted her to start making choices to empower her own self. Because
Yep.
the great thing about this is, A, it's not, there's no way she's going to hurt herself. She might be too hot. She might be uncomfortable. But those are all consequences of wearing what she's wearing. So then she immediately gets choices to consequences or rewards. Do you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
start using that processing in your brain about like, okay, if I wear a sweater and it's 90 degrees out, I'm going to sweat to death and be
Yeah.
really hot, right?
Right.
But you need them to be a little uncomfortable so they get those processes. Because if we look at everything as a science experiment, these are all experiments. I'm going to wear the sweater in 90-degree weather because I don't know. If I just tell her not to wear that, then I'm baby birding her. And she doesn't learn from herself.
Dude,
And she
yes.
doesn't get empowered by herself.
Yep.
Right.
Because, like,
So I want to say one thing about
go ahead.
gentle parenting real quick. Parenting is fucking hard. And if you need to use gentle
Mm,
parenting, it is a tool in your tool belt. Use it when you need it. It's not
yes.
about just doing gentle parenting. It's about using it when you need it. And that's what we
Yes.
really need to think about. It's not one or
Mm.
the other, it's all of
All of
it.
it.
It's all of it. It takes a village to raise a child,
Yes, because like
children,
with
whatever.
the pouring the glass of milk thing, I think about myself, okay? If I pour this and I spill it on the ground, fuck, well, now I just got to clean it up. It's
Right,
just that fucking simple. There's
right,
nothing to be yelled. We're not yelling about spilled milk, man. And that's the gentle parenting part that I like
right,
personally because I got yelled at for shit like that. That didn't
right,
help me except for it made me terrified to pour a glass of milk. I want to boost
right,
her confidence to
right.
start doing things on her own so that she can be more self-sufficient. She can have this confidence that, fuck yeah, I can go get this, I can do this, and I can do it. And if
Hmm.
I fuck up, I'm going to clean it up and I can keep on going with my day.
That's the perfection says, we were taught to be perfectionists because we were yelled at for the mistakes that we did, right? Now, I'm not blaming. I'm just saying that
No.
this is what happened, right? So like if I spilt milk because I am 7 and I can't probably like lift it very well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's fucking
Yes.
heavy, right? Depending, we had gallon milk, so like that heavy.
Yes.
You're good. I spilled now to this day. I'm like, of course, there it is, right? Like,
Yep.
so, and I know this about me because I'm trying so hard to be perfect that I fuck it up on
Yep.
purpose, really. And now I'm just like, oh, whatever. And I try to like, now that I can see this, I can at least like start to rewire those programs inside of me. So I'm not so striving to be perfect.
Abso-fucking-lutely. And I'm going to step off my soapbox and we can move on after I say this. Again, I want to tell you guys, it is very frustrating as somebody who does research to watch people struggle not knowing what to do. If you don't feel like you have people around you, research it, man. Go until something feels right of, okay, cool. That's actually how I would like to teach her. That's how I want to motivate her. That's how I want to
Yep.
show her these different things or your son, your daughter, whatever. that if
Empower
you
them. Yeah.
look it up, do the research. There are people out here like us sharing knowledge about parenting, specifically just
Mm-hmm.
parenting. If you're in a
Mm-hmm.
blended family, there's tons of like podcasts and people. If you're just a single parent, there's tons of people for that too. There's all these tools and resources
If you're
right
saying,
at our
yeah.
fingertips.
If
Do
you're
the
same
work.
sex parentings, if you're,
Yes,
yeah,
whatever your
whatever your
situation is.
particular, exactly, there's stuff out there to help you. That's what's so great about this day and age is that if you want something answered, haha, it's there.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Stepping off because I think it was important to talk about how we
Mm-hmm.
externally, how we're validating children and how, we need to look at that. But let's go back to external validation within ourselves and around us. Okay. There are some signs that we may be searching too much for external validation and they're hard to recognize. And I hope that us listing some of these off can help you recognize of like, holy shit, like maybe I need to work on the internal, like our
Mm-hmm.
self valuation, not evaluation. But one of them is feeling guilty about setting boundaries with others.
Oh,
Oh, I know. God, you guys, some of these are hitting me too. Trust me, I wrote these down and I was like, fuck. Okay, so I do search for a lot of external validation there because I do sometimes getting better. It's a work in progress, but
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
I feel really fucking guilty about setting boundaries with others. And it's because I want their
absolutely.
validation acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is overachieving in an attempt to get praise from others.
Died, dead,
Dead,
died,
dead, dying,
dead.
dead. RIP, dude.
Yep.
See you
I'm
later.
not
Signing
only a
off.
member, I'm not just the owner, I'm also a member.
You are on the head committee,
I am,
and I am
I
sitting right to your left.
am.
I was like, oh God. Oh God. There's a couple more I have, and some of these get really rough for me too. Um, Jumping from relationship to relationship without taking the time to heal because you feel you can't be alone. You're jumping from relationship to get validation. And the minute you don't, you leave, and then you can't feel alone because you can't be without that validation from a partner. That is unhealthy, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, that's no validation whatsoever, and you're only living for other people. That's it.
Yes,
That's a very hollow existence. Like,
I agree.
because all of it's out here. Oh, hold on. Let me nope, it's gone. Never mind.
Dang. It was like word vomit. It came up and you were like, wait,
It
wait, wait, wait. I
was,
can't.
oh, I was holding it.
Eh.
It was coming in. It was coming in, and I was like waiting to like my turn to speak, and then it was like,
Well, let me see if this triggers it. The three that we've talked about so far that are signs you may be searching for too much external validation is feeling guilty about setting boundaries with others, overachieving in an attempt to get praise from others, and jumping from relationship without
okay,
taking
now
the
I got
time to
it.
heal. Yes.
Now I got it. Okay, so the the reason, and I know this isn't popular, the reason why we want to heal from our past relationship is because of this. You are in the same vibration that you were when you attracted that guy, that girl, whatever. Um,
That person.
right.
Mhm.
Uh, when you're vibrating in a particular place when you attracted that last partner. So now, if you don't take the time and you don't heal and you don't raise up from what you've learned from that past relationship, you're doomed to repeat it again because you're at the same fucking vibration that you were with the last person. So that's the thing. That's what's really good about it is you really do need to heal because then you change your vibration and then you attract a better person.
I had a metaphor popped in my head that's very you. Same version, different meat soup.
Right?
Same
That's true.
version, different meat soup. It's what you're getting, dude. Same version, different meat soup.
That's exactly what you're getting. So if you notice a pattern with your dating, this is it. Is you need to take time, you need to heal, and then put yourself out there.
Absolutely. Here, here. Okay, the next one I have for searching, you may be searching for too much external validation is having difficulty making decisions on your own without someone else's input. Oh
Oh,
God.
I
Stab
have
me
no,
right here, if you will.
seriously, I have noticed that like I don't need it as much. Like I
Yes.
did something very scary for me and I raised my prices and I was very nervous about it, but this was a new game this time. So like I didn't ask for anybody's approval or permission. I uh knew that I'm worth it. I can see my worth, even if it's just slightly. I can still see that. I didn't come to you and ask you and see, like, oh, is this okay? Read this letter. Does it sound good? Like, no. I did everything independently and I didn't need anybody else's approval. And that's the
Fuck
one
yeah,
thing that
buddy.
it's really nice to be here because, like, when you ask for somebody's approval or validation and then they don't validate it.
No, or they make you question it. Because, like,
Yeah.
my big one I experienced this with was when I decided to write a person that's no longer in my life that was a big deal for me. And I did it all on my own and I wrote my own letter and everything. And I sent it and I waited to tell people because I was like, holy shit, I just did that.
Right.
And I was like, I think, and then I had to like let it sink in to be like, holy shit, I just did that. Like I did
Mhm,
that. I didn't have
mhm.
anybody read what I said. Didn't have anybody say, validate, yes, that sounds good. You're doing the right thing. Like I didn't have anybody question me either of like, are you doing the right thing? Is that a good thing for you to do? It just felt good to do it on my own and make a decision for myself. And I was like, still a little
This
nervous
is
though.
this is the difference between internal validation and external validation. So now that I was so out, you and I were both so out this way, I need my external validation. I need my all permission, all that kind of stuff. Now I ask those questions to myself. I don't need that person to ask me those questions. Am I doing this right? Did I do it right? Am I saying myself clearly? Am I getting my point across? All that stuff. I've already asked those my questions and I already knew the answers as well because I'm asking the question.
Fuck yeah, dude. You
And
ready?
like if somebody triggers you, you immediately go, um, why is this triggering me? Or, you know how they say like crazy people don't know they're crazy?
Yes.
I always say that because if I'm resisting somebody's trigger, like if they triggered me and well, that's not true. You were just triggered.
Yeah.
So now we almost have to look at the flip side because I was triggered. If it wasn't important, I wouldn't be triggered.
Yep. 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 Enough
Ugh,
said.
ugh, ugh.
I have two more for us to look at. My next one is saying yes.
Oh God.
Yeah, this one fucking guilty. Saying yes to tasks and plans you'd prefer, saying no to so that you can maintain approval from others. Ugh.
Wait, say that again. I totally blanked out on that.
You may be searching for too much external validation when you're saying yes to tasks and plans you'd prefer saying no to so that
Ugh.
you can maintain approval from others.
Ugh. This one was a hard one too, because I remember a lot of stuff that I would do um with like I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with this one. I don't know.
It's okay. I will add on to what you're saying. I've also had a hard time with this one. I care about the people in my lives. This is how I validate myself and like saying yes, right? But that's where
Hmm.
I'm gonna explain how this gets fucky after I say this, okay? I care about the people in my lives. I want them happy. I want to spend time with them. If I feel like I'm not spending enough time with them, I will say yes, even though I don't want to do it. But then what happens is I go and I'm pissed off that I'm there. I'm not having a good time. I'd rather be doing what I need to be doing, or I go and I'm spending more money than I need to because right now I don't need to be doing that. I have other plans and goals and things I need to do with that money.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it because I do want that approval for others. I do want that validation that they think I'm being a good friend, I'm being a good family member, I'm being a good
Yeah.
partner, all these things that whatever the situation is, I'm 100% guilty of this. And it's hard for me to say no. So what I've done instead of saying no is actually came from Nicole because she helped me a lot with this because it's still hard and it's a work in progress, right? As everything is, but I will say, you know what? I'm not sure. Let me look and I'll get back to you on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because saying yes immediately is so easy for me because then somebody's not going to get mad at me. I'm not going to hear gripe about it. I'm going to get the approval that I'm going to be there. I'm a good friend. Ew, ego, shut up. So when I say I'm not sure yet, let me get back to you, it gives me time to really think about it. And then if I want to say no, I can feel good about it because I've thought about it and I've self validated that I might need time. I can't spend money. If I go and do this, this is not going to be in my best interest. I can't do this. Or you know what? I do
Mm-hmm.
have time. I do have the money, or whatever the situation is. I'm going to have fun doing that. And I should feel good about doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this is like we grew up in a place where we had to please everything and every time, right? So
God,
you
yeah.
automatically say yes no matter what the detriment is because you are seeking that external validation, right? Like you need it so much that you would, this is what people are like, "Oh, I would do anything for you." Mm, mm.
Red flag.
Red flag.
We need the red flag guy on TikTok.
Uh, I have always wanted to like get red flags so I could just like if somebody's telling me a story, I could be like red flag, red flag.
Pick it up and
Like
like wave it.
no, I wanted to put them in piles so that way you saw how many red flags were there. Yeah, like they're like, oh yeah, this guy's really great, but he does this, and you're like red flag. And then like, cause you know how like some people you haven't added up the red flags, you see them,
Yep.
but you haven't quite added it up.
Yes.
That's what I want red flags for. Where's my phone? I need to order red
I need to
flags.
order red flags. You should order some green ones too so that you can compare the piles.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Right? Because there's like, you gotta compare sometimes, okay?
I agree. This pile's bigger than other. Yeah, that's when we go to like writing the pros and cons about things too, right?
It's a system that's not broken, man. It works.
No, seriously, if you're having trouble validating yourself, do that. It's
It's for
super
real.
easy. You can do it on your phone. You don't have to get real fancy about this. You just have to write down what would be really good about this and what would be really bad about this.
Yeah.
Was it a ghost?
No, so right here on the other side of my wall is our front door and our mailbox
Oh,
is on this wall. And so
okay.
sometimes when UPS comes in and they like freaking rip it open, it scares me because I was not aware that they were here. Was
You are
not
now.
aware that they were here.
I was not
Um,
aware.
okay, the last one that I have that I felt really was important to talk about too, because we talked about this in the past in several episodes, but I'm going to bring it up again. Another sign that you can be searching for too much external validation is comparing yourself consistently to others and feeling a chronic sense of lack without acknowledging your own unique strengths.
Ugh.
Comparing yourselves to others all the time because you don't feel like you're good enough and you're lacking without acknowledging the things that you do have strength in, the things you are good at, the things you
Hmm.
are strong at. Ugh.
But I think this just goes down to um low self-esteem, right? Like, you don't believe in yourself. You never really had anybody believe into yourself or even like show you what that looks like.
Yep.
So it's hard to like once you see it, you can move on from it. But when you can't see it, when it's in your blind spot, that's a tough one because you don't think that you're being insecure because we're trying to put up this front that I'm not insecure when really you're just screaming the fact that you're insecure.
Or you do know, and you, when somebody points it out, you bite their head off because you don't want to look at it.
That's fair too. Hmm.
So I want to go over some tips that I found to stop seeking external validation. And the first one is examining your childhood experience. Looking at your childhood experience around external validation can help you to understand a lot. Like, did I feel invisible? Did I feel like I was deprived of healthy attention? Was I like constantly praised for every little thing and that's like maybe why I'm doing this? Like, was I constantly ignored and that's why I feel this need to have people validate me all the time? Looking at that can help us start, like it could just open up this whole awareness, take the blinders off of holy shit, there's all this stuff around this that I now get to work through and look at.
Yeah. Um, this is a very interesting one because there's lots of levels to this. So if you're going to look at your past and in your childhood, remember that this isn't about blaming your parents for what they did, right? And I want you to look at it objectively. Make sure that you're not like playing the victim to what your experience were. Because really, these things that you were exposed to has given you power today. And that's really where you need to come at it as like, okay, so this is what I went through. Now this is why I can do these certain things for people. Like with you, you have a particular brand of how you can help people, right? I have a particular brand or flavor that I can help people. We're not going to help the same people technically
No,
because of these things, because I came up in a different place, you came up in a different place. That's why when you see all these health professional workers or, energy workers or anybody that's in the service industry, it's not, I'm going to take all of the people. That's not the game. The game
no.
is that I have a particular gift and um something that I offer to the world along with like somebody else has something different to offer to the world. Whether we think they're good or bad, that's a whole nother thing, right? Like it's just the fact like we're all different.
Ma'am, you said that wrong. I'm sorry, that was very not Nicolified. You have a certain flavor, and I have a
Flavor.
certain flavor, and we make our own soups.
We make
And we
soups.
can give you soup, and they're going to be two different soups because we have our own flavors.
Absolutely. Even if
That
they're the same soup, they're still going to like
There she is. I'm like, I'm sorry, did
flavor.
you not say we have our own flavors? That's what?
What? Who are you?
I was going to say, to add to what you said too, is when we go into examining our childhood experience, this could be the time when maybe a therapist could help. Like
Yes.
there are spiritual mentors out there. There are people like that are specifically meant to help in this way. And this year we're hoping to get our Patreon on up and going so that maybe we could help you as well because,
Hmm.
you know, maybe we can't, maybe you need more than what we can offer, and that's totally okay, but maybe we can. So if you need help finding somebody, reach out to us. We can help find somebody with you because we know
Well,
quite a few people in the industry as well.
that's the thing. It's like if you guys need us, call us,
Heck
text
yeah.
us, you can email us, like whatever you need to like we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, like
TikTok,
we
YouTube.
can we can help in whatever way we can. And if I can't help you or if it's above my pay grade at this point, I we have a resource of people that really can help you through all of this. So,
Absolutely.
because I know it can be overwhelming and it's very easy it was very easy for me to be a victim to a lot of things that I was doing to myself, but wasn't
Yep.
aware of it, right? Like, but and even to today, like sometimes I still get to that point of like, well, you did this to me. And I'm like, no, that's not right. That's not right.
I know it's hard to curb.
Oof. Especially you
Um,
get a good one. You get a good one that you're like so righteous and like, you cut off my arm. It's all your fault.
you fucking betrayed me, dog.
You betrayed me.
I'm never gonna let it go. Grudge,
Yes.
grudge, grudge, grudge.
God.
Um, okay, so a few more tips that I have for us to help us stop seeking internal external validation in a super unhealthy form way in the spectrum is we've talked about this quite a bit, and I feel like we've given good examples of this, but using self-care to self-validate, like doing mindfulness meditations, trying yoga, using positive affirmations, doing something that feels like self-care to self-validate.
Um, investment, self-investment too. Like
Yes.
this is so once we get through all of like the validation or even in the point of like any work that you're doing on yourself for yourself is what did I just say?
Self-improvement.
Self-improvement, self not improvement, investment.
Investment, I'm sorry, it was
It's an
started with an
investment.
I.
Yeah, yeah.
Self-I.
No, right. I was like, yes. And I was like, wait a minute.
No.
It sounded like money, sort of like I really like that because we've taken self-care and we've made it toxic, right? So
Right.
now it's like almost like
Investment.
what disassociation.
Uh,
Right? Like self-care is now becoming like disassociation, really.
yes.
And it's becoming toxic in that way, right?
Yep.
So I like the words investment because that gives it's easy for me to give myself worth then because
I
I've
like that
invested,
too.
right?
So
Like,
we'll rephrase this into using self-investment to self-validate. Like
yeah,
doing things that help you when you need it. You're validating your feelings, you're validating what you need, you're acknowledge which validation is acknowledgement.
yep,
You are acknowledging what you need, and so you're investing in yourself to do something that you need, right?
absolutely.
That can look like
Absolutely.
anything that
Mm-hmm.
would be self-investment. Nicole's right now is swimming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mine right now is reading.
Mm-hmm.
That's what feels good to us. That is our
Absolutely.
self-investment as of right now. And that's what we're doing. And it helps a lot for self-validation of like, I need this to be able to feel good about myself right now,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever
Mm-hmm.
that looks like. That helps a lot to stop seeking external validation when you're investing in yourself.
Absolutely. And it's very easy to get overwhelmed by like, well, I can't do that because I can't go to this certain university. I can't pay and I got a job and I got 3 kids and blah 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 blah. Listen, I had told myself that forever. What I found is once I got off of my like I'm not good enough stance and started to really like research like TikTok. It's free. Look stuff up. Look up everything. Look through all of it. See what this side says about it, see what this side says about it because all of that is knowledge, right? Once you get from that, if you want something a little deeper, go on YouTube. YouTube is also free for the moment. And you can like go through that and really take different people's opinions about what it is. Go on the internet, look at articles, and then even move to books because once these people that are on YouTube and TikTok, there will be books involved too. Like I don't necessarily want to go to therapy at this point, but there were 6 books that came up on TikTok that said, "Here, read these 6 books and you will get a better understanding of therapy of
Psychology.
psychology." Yeah. I was like, "Wait, what's the word? Starts with a P, H." Once you get through that, or once I started reading that, it gave me the knowledge it gave me about not only myself, but the world is priceless because nobody can ever take this away from me. And these are the things that we can really self do ourselves. I don't need a professor right now. I could, yes, if I need to go to if I want to further it more and really get it in, I will spend the time. I just found out that there is free classes, I think, in Stanford University. You don't get a degree, but you might actually get like a certificate of completion. But even that doesn't matter. Like, if you have the knowledge, that's what matters. And we get so hung up on like, well, I can't get that job because I can't, spend $100,000. on a degree. There's ways around it. And welcome to my TED Talk.
And what I would say to that TED Talk is stop being lazy, mother truckers. Do the work and you will reap the benefits. Anyways, my next tip to stop seeking external validation is practice saying no.
What?
We don't talk about we don't talk about Bruno in this house, which is the word no. Bruno.
Afraid of no.
Um, Practice saying no. It feels good. It can be really hard. You can feel really guilty. You can feel a lot of shame, but we've gone through a whole year worth of talking about guilt and shame and things like that. Go back and listen to the episode when you're feeling guilty or shame about saying no, and guess what? You'll feel better.
Yeah,
Because we went into
that's,
whole hour conversations about those.
and I don't know if I said it then, but like if you want to look up what guilt and shame is, look up an actual TED Talk with Brene Brown about shame and guilt. And she has books on it too. So she's a researcher that ended up researching shame and guilt. I think she says it very beautifully on like what each one is, plus like how to like, plus we all have it, plus like all this other stuff. And I think it's a great place to start.
Heck yeah. Because I think we did. Well, we talked about it a lot last season. That's all I know. And I remember you bringing up that TED Talk. And again, stop being lazy, do your damn research. It'll help.
If you don't like it about yourself, you have the power to change it, and only you do. So you putting the time and the investment into yourself will only, it's so weird because I went from a people pleasing person and an external validation person thinking that all my only worth was giving what I gave you. And it's so funny that once I started like switching that and putting the spotlight back on me, that I actually am helping other people at this point instead of like overdoing it and feeling like shit.
Yep. Um, my last tip for to stop seeking external validation is a hard one that I feel like we need to talk about, but it's detach from invalidating, emotionally depleting people and surround yourself with nourishing support networks. Okay. It's easier said than done. Yes, that's what I want to say. Easier said than done. Um, I've been seeing this a lot with people in this new year. Something's definitely in the air to where we are recognizing when we are being emotionally depleted, when we're not getting support and our support is not being received. It's not a give, it's a take relationship. It's hard, and you can feel guilt and shame, and you can feel all these feelings around giving up relationships or people that are not helping to move you on to your next path. But there's a reason why it's so hard and why you're feeling that that relationship needs to end.
Hmm. This is probably for anybody that has the same wounds as you or I. This one is really hard because I want to people please. It's in my nature. I want to say yes to you. I want to do all this stuff. Now, the one thing that I have noticed is that if I have to repeat myself, I don't like that. So if we're constantly going over the same fucking thing, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Because I don't, what's the point at this point? You're wasting my time. So but then it's like you'll have to look up even like how do I slowly and not hurtfully, separate myself from this person too. And that would be something that you would want to do, how to exit gracefully.
And there's
S-
something that Nicole has told me that helped me a lot with some harder relationships that have had to fall off or be limited or completely just gone. And you can't be the hero in every story. Sometimes you're going to be the villain, and you need to be okay with being the villain in their story. And
Absolutely.
that validation for myself, just repeating that to myself, is I'm okay with being the villain in your story. Because you can't control how somebody else feels. We've talked about that a lot. You can't control what they think. We've
Hmm.
talked about that a lot. You could have the best intentions in the world, and it's just not working. I'm okay with being the villain in your story. Change the way I started thinking about
Yeah.
this subject specifically.
Because it's so hard to reject somebody when we've been rejected our whole lives and we know
Absolutely.
what that feels like. Not only
Abandonment.
that, our ego gets in the way because we are trying to fulfill like some sort of like uh power, like I'm better than you and this is why, I'm helping you because I am better and I want to be needed. So I need this person to fulfill the fact that like, oh, I'm helping them.
Right.
I'm a good person. I'm, helping this person through a difficult part of their life, even though they don't want to get out of it. And it's it's really that's one is because then once you're in it, it's really hard to get out of it too. So there's a lot of uncomfortable stuff that happens along with this.
Hmm.
And uh I'm losing it. Uh wait, what was the question again?
Well, what I would say to help end that is and surrounding yourself with people who are supporting support networks. Surrounding yourself with that village can be very, very filling, very fulfilling.
Well, and the reason why we always want to be a good person, right? So, like, we always are trying to be, I'm a good person, and this is why. Because nobody's mad at me. And that doesn't make any sense when it comes down to it, but that's what we tell ourselves. And the thing is like being a villain in somebody's stories means that you had a fucking boundary.
Yep.
Boundaries to me feel mean. And if they feel mean to me, that means I'm being a bad person because I'm being mean. Because the wiring's fucked up in here.
Yep.
So if I know that having a boundary makes me feel mean, me being a villain in your story means that I upheld my boundary and actually is very good.
I don't know why this is making me think of Maleficent.
That was too.
Okay, I was gonna say because I feel like it's a great example of Maleficent let somebody in when the boundary was she crossed her own boundary
Right.
and then was mad about it and threw a fit, right? Like
Hmm.
essentially, granted it was a big fit, but still, you know, the boundary was is that humans weren't allowed in that area for
Right.
reasons.
For a
She
reason.
crossed it because she thought she loved him. He cut off her wings.
Right.
Had them freaking displayed at that. I'm talking about the live action
Hmm.
one. But crossed the boundary and she got mad. There's just this could be a whole podcast on its own, the whole episode on its own. But
Absolutely.
it's harder, like I said, it's easier said than done, but it is worth it. It does help.
Well, because these people are only going to leech off your life force.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds harsh, but like you're never going to make that horse drink from the water from the well that you led them to. You never are. You can't force it to do it, right? So they actually, and this goes along with like if you get somebody with addictions, they're never going to do it. They're never going to not do it unless they're ready to do it, right? Even if that detriment goes all the way to the fact that they kill themselves. This is that's you can only do so much.
Sorry, that's just thinking I'm listening, but also I can't
I
stop
know.
thinking about all the Nicole metaphors that are so funny that like I'm like I want t-shirts with these metaphors and these sayings. Like, you'll never get that horse to drink from the well you want it to. And I'm like,
Mm-mm.
dude, that's so if you know, you know. That's an if you know, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Because like you're so right. You can't no matter how hard you try, how matter how hard you cry, you pull, you yell, you scream, you take a different approach and you love and you give and you give and you give until there's nothing left to give, and then we're back on the yelling and screaming and crying post. You can't move that horse if it doesn't want to move.
No. This goes back to children too. I always start off with like gentle parenting. And then if you don't do what I just said, it escalates. It has a scale to the point of I will punch you if you don't get up right now. Not that I ever have. I didn't
No,
have to
because
get to
it's
that
never
point.
had to get to that point.
No, but like when you're waking somebody up, right? Like at first I'm like, hey, honey, time to wake up.
Yep. And then it's
5
like,
minutes later,
all right, dude, open your eyes, get up, let's
get
go.
up.
Yeah. Me this morning, I'm like, hey, baby, it's time to get up.
Hmm.
Falls back to sleep. Hey, hey, gotta get up. Come on, dude, gotta get up.
Yep.
Don't close your eyes, dog. Don't close your eyes. We gotta get up. You want to watch Unspeakable before school? You gotta get up. Let's go. Come on, dude.
Yeah, that's exactly how that goes.
It's the
You start
progression.
off, well, because then at some point I'm ripping your blankets off, turning down the heat, like, get your ass out of that bed.
It's like,
And
I'm
then,
gonna throw cold water on you.
absolutely, I go, the next step is water.
I
So
will soak your bed. I don't
you are
care.
making choices, ma'am. You are making choices. I just want you to know that.
Seriously.
The funny thing is, then they're like, well, why are you yelling? Bitch, because you made me.
Because, like,
I
I told
started
you
off.
20 times.
Right.
We reached level 21. 21.
Level 21 is yelling. Sorry about it. You made choices.
We passed 10. 10 should be the top. Level 22 is an ice cold bucket of water on your bed and your bed's soaked, and I don't care.
Don't care. Don't care.
All the joys of a 16-year-old. Um, okay, that's pretty much what I have about validation today, except for I do want to say that remember, seeking validation exists on a spectrum, whether it's internal, external, it's a spectrum. And like Nicole said, it's a fucking hammer, dude. It's not good or it's bad, or is it bad, but we can use that hammer to empower ourselves in a really healthy way.
Remember your
It's about
intentions.
mindfulness.
Yeah, remember your
Hey, look at us
intentions.
go.
Right.
Intentions and mindfulness. You have to have,
Yes.
it goes back to again, this is where like magic comes in, where it's like you can help to make your intentions pure. But
Mhm.
I'll jump off that soapbox. But keep in mind what you want, keep in mind where you want to be, and then use the
Well,
hammer to your advantage.
absolutely. If you trust, find some things that you know for absolute fact. Like that's one of the things that always helped me. Like if I was having a bad time about with like relationships, I always had to go back because I wasn't quite secure in myself. So if this person didn't like me, which who I was hyper focused on because they didn't like me, I negated all of the people that love me. I never turned around and like look, I was like, oh, wait. But then I remembered, or it came to me intuitively, is that I remember, well, if this person loves me, then I know I'm lovable and I can love myself. I don't have to worry about this other person who doesn't like me. It's not like you have to have everybody like you for you to be a good person, right? This person, if I'm not this person's cup of tea, why would I force them to be with me or like hang out with me? We're not even going to have fun once we do it. We're so hyper focused on the fact that they don't like us and that triggers us that we negated all these other people's feelings that did like us, that do love us, that do support us, that are there for us, that will fight the battles for us. And the focus is completely off balance.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that when it comes with this too, using validation as empower it too, is that I think what goes hand in hand with it that we haven't talked about, but we kind of talked about without saying what it is gratefulness. Um,
Yes.
Gratefulness means we've talked about gratefulness a lot because dude, being grateful can change your life.
Oh, absolutely.
It could change your life.
I literally have started telling myself that I love my life, right? I love my life. I love the fact, and I couldn't say that before because my life was supposed to be perfect for me to love it, right?
Yep.
And whatever hill I built that I was supposed to climb to
And
get to
die on.
that. Yeah. Uh,
For real.
so in one hand, I'm evolving, but on the other hand, I'm so grateful for what I've built, for what I've seen, for the people I've attracted into my life. I take time to validate the moments that I have. Like
Hmm.
right now, if when we were in New Orleans, that was a perfect example of like, I love my life. I love where I've led. I love the fact that I'm here. I love that I'm spending time with valid people and you really sharing these moments instead of thinking about like, oh, when I go home, I got to do this. I got to remember to send that email. I've got to go do this and pick up my groceries. None of that shit matters, right?
Right.
That's why we go on vacation. And so we don't
Right.
have to think about that, right? So even like driving to work, thank you for my car. Thank you for the fact that I have gas in it.
I forgot. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I forgot to tell you this last night. For those that are in Michigan or anywhere where it's snowing and it's salted, and the snow is melting, I just wanted to let you all know about this really cool thing I thought about last night. When you were driving in that, your car is getting a salt bath.
It would just cleanse it all out.
Dude, I was like, oh, I'm putting all the intentions into that, baby. And you just reminded me of that because, like, being grateful for my having a car, being thankful for having a car. I was like, oh my God, it's like a salt bath. And I was like imagining everything that like my is I brought into the truck and everything that my grandfather's brought into the truck and all these things being washed away and being recycled into the earth. Cause I was like, free salt bath for the car, dude. Sorry to interrupt,
Now,
but I was like, I forgot to
now
tell you that.
all your car people will be like, but it's rusting my car. Go give it
Stop.
a bath. Shut up.
Yeah,
Shut up.
exactly.
It's not that deep. It wasn't like
Also, like, hey, use magic when you can use it, dude.
me.
Right?
That's what it's there for.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Sorry, I was like so excited about that. I was like, I forgot to text you that last night because I don't have like my grandpa's truck is pretty old, and I wanted to call you and be like, oh my God, our car's getting salt bass right now. Like,
Well, even furthermore to think about that, I was thinking about this the other day because I watched The Secret Life of Water, Secret of Water. I don't know, something like that. And so if we know that water freezes in crystals in like snowflake form, depending on how we like program it. So if I say I love you, it forms a crystal. If I say thank you, it forms a different crystal. If I say I hate you, it forms a blob. If we think about snow, it's coming out of the sky at a perfect snowflake. So if we want to kind of like be like, okay, so heaven is the sky kind of thing, the snow, the water that's coming out is pure as it comes down because it's not messed up in its crystal form. It's like these perfect little divine crystals. So I thought that was so cool just to be like, oh, wait a minute.
that is really cool.
It already comes out of the sky like that. Like,
So then when you're getting snowed on, you're just getting divine like energy
Mhm.
just rained on you.
I think it's so beautiful. I love it so much. And the
This
fact
is
that it's like washing the earth and going into the earth and all that kind of stuff too. Like,
it's hitting my car.
yeah, yeah.
This is what Nicole and I think about these days, you guys. This is where we're
Hmm.
at.
This is where we're at.
It's our level of weird for the moment. So we're thinking
Right.
about everything and how fucking cool some of this stuff is that we don't even put thought into.
I just love snow so much.
God, me too, me too. Ugh. Um, well, I'd say this is validation. Next week we will be talking about disassociation,
Oh,
which I'm very excited about that topic as I am for every topic, but I feel like this is a good one that we really need to talk about as well. So that's going to be next week, man.
No, I think these are both really good topics for this year because I do think that I see it a lot of disassociation, and we call it different things.
Fuck yeah, man.
A lot of validation seeking because we just don't know. You
Yep.
know, like it's not, I mean, it gets hard sometimes because there's so much of it all at once that is coming at you. Like, whether it's information on bad or good, like whether this is good, this is bad. But like if you notice everything that's out there, even the wars that are going on right now, you got one side that says it's good and you got the other side that says it's bad, right? Like they're fighting for a reason, but yet the whole world is like, that's bad. We don't do that. And I get it. Like war is awful. I'm not saying that it isn't, but I do think that we have to really pull that apart and look at it in more of an objective way instead of just being like it's awful because it's there for a reason. Or else we wouldn't have any wars.
I like everything, man. Everything happens for a reason, regardless of it being good or bad, regardless
Mhm.
of like, regardless of anything, truly. Everything's there for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, we're back, peeps. Happy season two.
We're back.
And we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.